Hey everybody, this is Dark Side Elite here. Let me turn my mic down just a little bit. Okay, how you guys doing? I wanted to do this video because there has been a lot of information coming out, and since a lot of the everything's been postponed because of this coronavirus, I want to extend to everybody that I'm indoors myself. I'm getting stir crazy. I have been doing videos mainly because I just didn't want to be doing a whole bunch of videos. I really didn't want to burn myself out on this. I wanted to be able to do this when I feel like it. And right now is one of the times because I've been hearing a lot of stuff, and there's maybe going to be a lot I want to talk about, but I kind of want to stick to the Snyder Cut itself because there's a lot of information out. Um, I have been talking to Hawk, and right now he's working. So I'd rather for him to be working and really making the money for him and his family. So up until we get everything completely synced in and this coronavirus is behind us and we're all back into our normal lives, I'd rather myself to be concentrating on keep myself from going stir crazy, and two, I want Hawk to be more concentrated on getting himself some sleep, getting himself over to work, and making that money for his family. But he has extended his apologies, and I hope that all of you can understand. Now, let's get into this. Now, there has been some notions going on about the Snyder Cut that it's going to be going on HBO Max. It has Tyrone Magnus is also talked about that it's been delayed, and there's also some reasonings why. It's probably also because of the coronavirus pandemic. WB is probably has a very minimal skeleton crew to find out what's going on. Also, the movie theater businesses have taken a huge hit because people are not going to the theaters, and they have these blockbuster films and they're not making any money from it. So there's a lot of things going on right now, and there's a lot of things that need to be happening. But the Snyder Cut is more going to be on about the streaming service, and there has been talks about people have seen the cut and they think it's phenomenal. Now I'm only doing this video because I want you to give you what I think, what my personal opinion, and also what I think is going to be going on soon. Now, one of the biggest things that we're hearing is that a stunt choreographer, her name is Unance Huthart. She was making some talks to was it it was one of the big media outlets, and it's one of the people that really talks negative. There's a good amount of them that talk negatively about the Snyder Cut, but this one was one of the bigger ones. Um, and she stated that she was talking to Zach is showing the Snyder Cut to a lot of people, and they're all talking about how awesome it is, and that it's also very very cool, and and it looks like it's ready to go. So Subjective Reviews did a couple of videos about that the Snyder Cut is on its way, and also that the movie doesn't need any pickup shoots, that it's ready to go right now. So my thing is, I'm thinking just like how probably he's thinking. I think they've been working on this on the sly. We haven't really heard much about Zach and an Army of the Dead, his sequel to Dawn of the Dead. We haven't heard much about that, and it's coming on Netflix. So he might be in the middle of post production on that. Everybody can do that easily at home. They don't need to go to an office space. They can actually take a lot of it home and get a lot of it done and pass it around to everybody else and talk on VoIP. They can easily talk over Skype or however they need to, or over Google Talk. So there's a lot of ways they could be able to talk to each other, and Zach can give a lot of directions. And this is mostly the people that he deals with all the time. So he really honestly doesn't have to give them a lot of direction of what he wants. He can give them a list of what he wants, and then they can get it all done, and then they can just confer slowly over the bit. Also, everything's done digitally now, so they can easily, one person can do it, send the bits of data over to one other person, they get another bit done, and they send other bits of data to Zach, and basically Zach can watch each piece in sequential order at home without having to leave the confines of his home and see how everything goes. He doesn't have to leave the home at all. That's one of the greatest things that about the digital age, that movies can be done in the comforts of their home. They don't have to leave to an office space. A lot of the visual effect artists and the CGI artists, they don't have to leave home. They can actually do everything at home and download everything onto their main computers and get everything done off the confines of their computer or a laptop. So we have to see how it's done. But this bigger thing is that that they might have been working on this Snyder Cut at the same time too. Again, this movie was already, the principal photography was done. He filmed everything he wanted. All he needed to do was just do pickup shoots, touch ups, and such like that. So that to me tells me that anybody could have been working on this on the slide with him, and he could still have been doing Army of the Dead. So that's huge news. We should take that as really good news. I really don't want to get into the depths of everything, mainly because of one thing. It's a rabbit hole. It's like repeating the same thing over and over and over again. But here's my positive to this, and there's also a negative. Here's the positive. If this does very, very well, we can easily now suggest that we want Henry Cavill to stick around. Henry Cavill can stick around. I personally believe that we've been hearing also rumors that Amy Adams wants to come back. We know Henry wants to come back. We know now Amy Adams is talking about she wants to come back, but she thinks that they're moving in a different direction. That doesn't mean that they want to not have Amy Adams and Henry Cavill. They make a very attractive couple. They look like they're actually a good couple together. However, we don't know the nuances of what they want to do. But if Snyder's cut, the way Snyder constructed his story, this might change a lot of people's concepts about what Snyder was going to do with Superman. If at the end, now we don't know until we see the Snyder cut. We know that he was getting him to that point where he becomes the Superman that we all know. However, there has to be a lot of story behind him so we understand a lot of the angst that he's going to be going through, and having it at the end where he becomes that hopeful individual that basically defeated Darkseid and helped his friends through the death of Batman. We know Batman was going to die. We know Ben Affleck was going to die in that movie as Bruce Wayne. We know he was going to die in Snyder's cut. That's going to propel Superman to do better now, because Superman sacrificed himself because of Batman's mistakes. Superman is going to see Batman sacrifice himself because of his mistakes. Now, people can say what his mistakes are. Well, think about it. In Man of Steel, he went and saved the world. Exactly. But in BVS, he wasn't working with the government. And I don't mean that he has to work with them as an agent. Like, he worked with the government to understand what should he be doing and what he shouldn't be doing, because there are consequences to his actions. And also, he didn't come out and say, hey, my name is Kal-El, I'm from Krypton, this is who I am, I want to help people, try to make everyone feel comfortable. But he just said, hey, I'm going to do what I got to do, and I'm going to do it on my terms. That was what he stated in Man of Steel. He's here to help, and he's going to do things on his terms. So he didn't announce himself to the world of what he's here for, like Chris Reeve's version did. Now, people can say, well, why didn't he do that? Well, again, he's doing what he thinks is the right thing to do. He shouldn't have to announce himself. He's here to help. That should be enough right there. And again, it's the same thing. Chris Reeve's version just followed the same narrative and said, hey, you know what? I maybe should have to do that. Henry Cavill's version didn't need to do that. He felt that by him saving the planet, that should have been more than enough to tell everybody he's here to help. Right there. So his mistakes, the consequences of his mistakes that led Batman down his path, inadvertently got Batman killed, while Batman's actions in BVS got Superman killed, because he was foolish enough to actually listen, to not investigate everything and literally understand what was really going on, and he didn't look into everything. He wasn't being a true detective. He just got angry and got bitter and had his spite and rage against Superman, and got the greatest hero that this planet needed killed because of his own arrogance. That's Batman. Batman's an arrogant person. We know that. Everyone should know that. Batman is very arrogant. He's very stubborn, and that's his personality. But it slowly quiets down, mainly because Arthur, Diana, Clark, Barry, Hal, even John Jones, they all know that is Bruce. Bruce is like that. We have to work around that. And they do. And what makes Batman more human is Clark. Clark is what makes Bruce more human because of their relationship, and we were gonna get that, but the way Zach was gonna tell his story, it wasn't long felled. It wasn't going to be long term. It was going to be more of a short term friendship, and everything that Batman went through, his desire to become that person that he thought he was going to become, it was short lived because he realized that his job now is as an elder hero, because he has more years as a hero than all the other heroes. Even Diana, because Diana just saved the world one time and that was it. She walked away from humanity. That's how they could fix it. That's how they try to fix it with Wonder Woman 84. But if you really think about it, they don't have to. They don't have to. Now, if you really look at how the way they could do this cut is Arthur. Okay, if let's slow it down a little bit. Let's slow it down. If the cut comes out and it blows everybody's expectations, it's phenomenal. We know it's going to be phenomenal. But let's say the casual audience member sees it, it's phenomenal. It's a great piece of storytelling. They're able to see the growth of all these heroes and them cultivating to become this great unstoppable force against quite possibly one of or the most dangerous enemy for not just the Justice League, but for Superman and for all realities, who is Darkseid. It's gonna transcend them. Now, if this cut blows everybody's expectations and they decide to continue on, and Henry Cavill continues on as that version of Superman, and they tweak it just a little bit, that means that Gal Gadot is gonna stay, because she's made some suggestions that she's only gonna do 3 movies and she's gonna leave. Now, we don't know about Jason. But there are some rumors that Jason's going to do the same thing. They wanted to move in a different direction with Aquaman, and he relinquishes his title and leaves. Now, we don't know how that's going to transcend. Again, everything could change if this Snyder Cut blows everybody's expectations. That means that Wonder Woman 3 could be a present day. That means that Aquaman 2 could be present day, and it could talk about the death of Batman. Because they're not going to bring back Ben Affleck's Batman. Ben Affleck does not need to come back. As much as I love Ben Affleck's Batman, he is the perfect Batman. To me, he is the perfect Batman. There is no way storyline they need to bring him back. I would say let's retire the Bruce Wayne Batman for the time being, and let's use Dick Grayson as the new Batman. There's no... In my thought processes, there's nothing wrong with that. Dick Grayson has put on the cape twice. He's put on the cowl twice. Ever in the iteration of Batman. He's put it on twice. He's been Batman during Nightfall, when he was Batman for a little while in Nightfall, and he was Batman after Battle for the Cowl. He became Batman. So you have to understand that Dick Grayson would be the perfect person to take up the mantle as Batman, and you're still going to get that semi-jokey Batman, but he doesn't have to be broody Batman that we all know. And also, it gives us a little bit of a flavor with having a different person underneath the cowl. It doesn't have to be Bruce Wayne now. Now, you might say, well, why don't they bring in Robert Pattinson? We don't know how Robert Pattinson's Batman is going to be. He could be so out of place with the Justice League, it wouldn't be fair. We need a Batman that could go toe-to-toe with Superman. Now, I'm not saying that Robert Pattinson can't do it. What I'm saying is that the way Matt Reeves constructed his story, it wouldn't make sense. Here's my logic. You need a Batman that's brooding. You need a Batman that's angry. You need a Batman that's visceral and raw to go toe-to-toe against Clark, this version of Superman. Christian Bale's version wouldn't last a minute because A, he doesn't have the experience, and 2, he honestly, in truth and all honest, his skill level would not have compared to basically Ben Affleck's Batman. He has 20 plus years versus Christian Bale's 2.5 years. 2.5. He stopped being Batman for 8 years in The Dark Knight Rises. He barely was capable of taking on Bane. After he rebuilt himself, he quit. He quit being Batman because his body was old. Now, Ben Affleck's version was around the same age, and he was still able to go toe to toe with this dude. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry for people to say that Christian Bale's version would fit, but he wouldn't fit. He wouldn't fit. His Batman is not scary. His Batman is not visceral. His Batman is not raw. He's not unabashing rage and torment. He's not. He's not a focused person. He's not very focused. He's wanderlusted a lot of times in the movies. He was diverted off of the whole thing with Rachel. Okay. But you also got to look at it as he's not big enough. He's not. Jason Momoa makes him look like a twig. If you look at the picture right here, this is Ben Affleck's version in a newer suit. Look at him versus freaking Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill stayed in shape. He lost just a little bit of muscle mass, not by very much. And he still looked big enough to take on Henry Cavill. You want someone that looks like that he can be able to go toe to toe against people. I'm sorry, but Robert Pattinson he looks about the same frame as Ezra Miller. Come on. Let's be fair here. Let's be fair. And I do agree with Hawk about how he was talking about Gal. Gal should got a lot more muscle. She should have added on another 10 pounds more muscle. He thinks that she's still modeling. She's not modeling. She stopped modeling. But I think that if she's going to commit to becoming Wonder Woman, she needs to just gain another 10 more pounds of muscle. It's not body shaming. It's, hey, you're committing to the bit. You're committing to the role. None of us want to see a fat, overweight Flash. That makes no sense. It would be funny, but it wouldn't be right. So all I'm saying is that we're not going to see Ben. We're not going to see Ben. I'm sorry I went on a rant, but we're not going to see Ben anymore. And that's fine. Let's see Dick Grayson in the suit. Let's see them bring in Dick Grayson, and Dick Grayson slowly starts to fix Bruce's mistakes. He now is involved with the whole situation with, guess what? The Red Hood. I don't want Damian Wayne in here. I don't want Damian Wayne in this universe. And I'm being honest. I don't want him in this universe. Let's bring in Tim Drake. Let's give Tim Drake some effing love. This character deserves way more respect than Damian Wayne. People don't even know who people don't know who Tim Drake is. They think, Tim Drake, who the heck is that? He was the second most popular Robin next to freaking Dick Grayson. He was around for over 20 years. He lasted longer as a Robin than any other Robin. But I understand Damian Wayne is his biological son, but it wouldn't make sense in this situation. It wouldn't. You're going to create way more drama than there needs to be. Dick Grayson all of a sudden comes home and sees a little kid on the doorstep with a woman. He knows that's Talia, and he's like, who the heck is this kid? Oh, this is Bruce's son. Huh? How is Dick Grayson going to be able to guide Bruce's son? How? Alfred might be able to do it, but Alfred would be the way I would construct Alfred is he's too wanderlusted and angry at the fact that Bruce is gone and very upset. Looking at Damian, he wouldn't consider it as a second chance. He would consider it as he doesn't want to fail. And why would you want to see that? You can't see Alfred all of a sudden go, this is Bruce's son. I need to guide this kid and make him better. No, that doesn't make any sense. To me, it doesn't make any sense. So you can continue these storylines without Ben Affleck's Batman and move forward with Robert Pattinson's Batman, and let's move forward without Bruce Wayne Batman. Let's move forward with Dick Grayson Batman. And let's bring in Tim Drake, not as Robin, as Red Robin. Be perfectly fine. He's Red Robin. And if you want to bring in Damian Wayne as he's just a little kid. He doesn't know what the heck is going on. He's a murder machine. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. He gets himself in more trouble than anything else. But do not overpower him like they did in the comics. Make it where it makes sense. That Dick Grayson trained Tim Drake, but Tim Drake is way smarter than all of them. He's way smarter than Dick Grayson. He's way smarter than Damian. At a pure natural skill, yes. Damian over time will overpower all of them. It's logic. I understand that. But at this present point in time, he should not be able to take on Dick Grayson. He should barely have an opportunity against Tim Drake. He should not have an easy time against Tim Drake. He should not be able to push him around. Tim Drake would have a hard time against him, yes. But over the course, he's going to understand, okay, I know how to fight this kid and pin him down. Because he's smart. Don't make Tim Drake stupid. It will be a huge character destruction. And that's what they did with this character over the years. They made him useless comparable to Damian Wayne. They used Tim Drake as a pincushion for freaking Damian Wayne, which makes no sense. And I don't want to get into that. I'll get into that in maybe another video. Man, I'll write that down. Damian Wayne versus Tim Drake. Who would truly win? But this is about the Snyder Cut. Now, if this cut does come out, we can move forward. We can move forward with the Flash. Flash can go through a lot of his own stuff, but you can have it where he's in the same thing with Spider-Man. The greatest hero that he knows, other than Superman, is dead. He knows who it is. The death of Bruce Wayne, Batman. And he has to deal, now he's going through his own thing, but now he has to deal with now his own enemies. And he has to deal with an enemy that he created, which is Eobard Thawne. Be great storytelling. And I don't mean like he created him, like Batman Joker thing. No, what I mean is by his heroism and what he done over the decades as the Flash created Eobard Thawne, which is exactly from the comics. You have Superman going through his own regular routine, but he's looking at everyone talking about the death of Batman, the death of Bruce Wayne, and it strikes him hard because he's like, man. And then you have a phone call with Diana. Diana's telling him that basically she reiterates to him that this is how Bruce felt when you died. But you need to look past that. He made the sacrifice like you did. And we can't bring him back. It would be wrong for that. And Clark understands. Aquaman, it's not in the same vein, but he understands. But he has to think about his kingdom, and he has to think about his other enemies. But you can see him sitting there he kind of looking bad about the fact that Batman is gone. And then at the end of the whole Justice League movie, they find out a brand new Batman's in town. Who the heck is this guy? And you kind of find out it's Dick Grayson. And he says he's here to help. He's not here to stamp all over Bruce's memories. And that would move forward. You would get Batman. He'll fight a little bit differently, but he'd be more acrobatic. The fight sequences would be phenomenal. Now a lot of people be like, hey, wait a minute, what about Nightwing? What about a Nightwing movie? You could still get a Nightwing movie if they decide they want to go with a younger Batman and bring back another version of Bruce Wayne. If Robert Pattinson works out and they can see the dichotomy between his Batman versus Clark Kent's Superman, then I'll be more than willing. But the thing is, we got to see how his version looks, how his version feels, because you can't take a pulp noir type of Batman and put him in a comic booky version of Batman, especially Snyder's type of style. It wouldn't fit. It would be like very jarring. We don't know how he's gonna fight. He might box. He might fight like Daredevil, not very acrobatic, just in your face, just slugfest. That wouldn't work versus what they did in that warehouse scene. It wouldn't work. So I mean, that's mine. But here's the negative. The negative of it is that it might not do anything. It might just be a gigantic pause. This whole coronavirus is this whole situation with this pandemic really frightened a lot of people. And who knows if we're going to recover from the movie business is going to recover from this. We don't know. So we have to see. The major problem of this is we honestly just do not know. We do not know. And I do personally believe that if this gets rectified and the cut comes out and it actually blows a lot of people's expectations, we are going to keep Henry Cavill as Superman. Amy Adams will stick around, and I'm hoping Lawrence Fishburne sticks around. I hope a lot of the actors that came from Man of Steel and BVS, they stick around. Now, Jesse Eisenberg as Lex, I think we need to see his Lex grow. I think he'd be perfectly fine. People need to hold off. His Lex is growing. His Lex actually is growing. He's becoming that Lex. This is some people try to compare his Lex to Baron Zemo. Like, hey, why didn't everybody give Baron Zemo? Because that's not Baron Zemo. He's not he's not Sokovian. He's German. He's German. He's absolutely German. He's Prussian, actually. He's from German Russian. That's who he is. And he despises Captain America. It's not he doesn't like Captain America. No, he despises Captain America. He despises America. He's a pure Nazi. But they didn't turn him into that. They turned him into this guy any Joe Blow could have been in Civil War. We got Lex's backstory. We understood his backstory. I got past the quips. I got past his little flubs because I wanted to see what they're going to do with him at the end. And they turned him into, he was Lex at the end of that whole situation. He was fooling everybody. He knew. It made sense. And I don't have to beat a dead horse with it. I want to see Jesse Eisenberg come back. I would love to see him come back. I want to see his Lex move forward. He's a scientist. He's an engineer. He's manipulative. He's Machiavellian. He's narcissistic. He's all that stuff. It's there. It's right there. He got out of Arkham, even though Batman said, hey, I'm going to put you in Arkham Asylum. He was scared to death of it. He's like, what? I'm supposed to go to a regular old hospital. No, you're going to Arkham Asylum, and they're waiting for you there. He thought he was going to get away with this. But he did anyway. He got out of prison, and he did it with Deathstroke. And you're telling me you don't want that version of Lex? He outsmarted Batman and got out of jail. He got out of jail. He got out. No, I'm not jail. He got out of Arkham Asylum. He broke out of Arkham Asylum. Are you nuts? That is awesome. He was nervous as hell until he said, hey, you know what? Screw this. Call Deathstroke. Deathstroke broke him out. And he went to China. He went to China. He set out on international waters of China and said, nope, they can't come pick me up. We don't know any of that story because everybody just sat there and said, oh, that's not Lex. His Lex sucks. And blah, blah. Are you nuts? He was surrounded by beautiful women that could beat ass. They were all dressed like Mercy Graves. He took a lot of liberties with it. We're not going to get the classic Jimmy Olsen. Great. I don't want that version of Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen is useless as a wet nap right now. Who cares? He's only useful when it comes down to serial procedurals, like a TV show. That's where you could do the Jimmy Olsen all day. But not in the movie aspect. He's useless. You're not going to focus on Superman or Clark Kent. You're going to focus in on Jimmy Olsen and what's going on the Daily Planet. I understand. But in a Justice League standpoint, who the heck cares? Man of Steel, you're building him up. We didn't need a Jimmy Olsen. Jenny Olsen's more than enough. The girl is more than enough. She has that Jimmy Olsen feel. Except she's a reporter herself instead of being a photographer. But there's no need for a photographer. Everybody takes pictures now. Got a phone? Takes a picture. There's some phones today that will take a million times better pictures than his regular old Canon. Sorry, I mean, that version of Jimmy Olsen is useless. It is. It's useless. So anything he was going to change would have made no sense. Again, instead of lambasting it, why don't you just tell us what you really want? You want that 1940s corny Superman. That's what you wanted. And you didn't get it, and you started whining like a baby. Instead of at least saying, hey, you know what, let's see how this goes. As many times as I complained about what Marvel did, I watched every one of their movies. I watched them to see what were they going to do next. And I hated them. Hated every single one of them. Captain Marvel was terrible. Infinity War was what the F. Endgame was, oh my God. Would have been phenomenal if they gave us what we wanted. I wanted to see Hulk versus Thanos. Part 2. Didn't give us it. Thor was useless in that fight. Useless. You turn Thor into a whining baby instead of an angry Norse god. Like he should have been able to summon the thunder. Nope. Got manhandled by Thanos. So, and you're telling me Captain America lasts longer than Thor? Again, there's a lot of things that makes absolutely no sense. And we could debate that. We could debate how Zack was doing it versus how Marvel did theirs. We could easily debate that, and that'd be perfectly fine. But this cut is determinable. Until we see it, Henry Cavill is on limbo. Because people want that Donner version of Superman, even though they don't understand any of the story of what Donner was doing. He wanted to do a dark version of Superman. And that was a very dark story. You had Lois Lane die in an earthquake, getting crushed to death. She suffocated. And Superman was too slow to get there to save her life. Oh man, that was awesome. Oh yeah, that's stupid. Why is Superman doing this in Man of Steel? Because that makes sense. It made sense. Lex puts a freaking kryptonite around his neck and throws him into the water so he drowns. Yeah, that's that. Yeah. That's that. Yeah, that's very sunny disposition. Are you crazy here? He ignores what his father tells him and basically uses his powers to time travel. When his father specifically told him don't do stuff like that. He does it anyway. Because Lois died. What? Oh my God. What? Lex uses dynamite to basically destroy the San Andreas Fault to make sure that California would move away and succeed from the rest of the Union so he can make it his own independent country. What? All because of land. California had the most land out of all the rest of the states. It has military bases, everything. He would own California. Come on. That's what he did. That's what was in there. And don't get me on number 2. That was very dark. So don't try to say that Zack Snyder did Superman very dour. Are you kidding me? Christopher Reeve was pretty dour in those two movies. He couldn't have Lois. He acted goofy. That was the only thing that actually made the movie much more brighter. And John Williams' music actually brightened up the scenes. But look at the story itself. His father dies. He had no power to stop it. Lois dies, and he says, I have the power to stop it. And he does it by what his father tells him not to do. Then he finally gets the girl, reveals who he is, and gives up his powers. And doesn't realize the ramifications of him giving up his powers. Gets his butt kicked. I mean, savagely gets his butt kicked. And then he has to try to confront three military traitors to his own people who have his powers. 3 of them. Come on. That's a pretty dark story. So again, pass this along. This cut is going to come out. I am more determined now. If people are talking about it, and they're saying it's phenomenal, they're saying that it's great, we're going to get this cut. HBO Max is waiting for it. I'm thinking it's on delay because I think that in all honesty, they want to figure out a way to market it better. But here's the thing. We're going to be the marketers. Let's show to the casual audience members, this Snyder Cut's coming. WB knows it. They worked on it. Pass around the information. Let's be civil about it. Do not try to deter people away from the fact if they try to be children about it. If they're like, oh, you guys are stupid, you don't know, just say, really? Okay, well, I have 15 different sources that say this. Legitimate sources. Cinema Blend is saying it. Soon Variety's going to say it. Hollywood Reporter, the THR is going to say it. All these places are going to start saying that this cut is going to happen. But if you want to be an idiot and think that it's not, then hey, if you want to be someone that thinks that it's not, then that's perfectly fine. Don't call people idiots. I'm sorry. Don't do that. Just say, hey, if you want to be ignorant about it, that's perfectly fine. But I'm just letting you know. Our job when it comes to talking about this cut is not to change the casual member's mind or the people that are negative about it. Don't change their mind. Change the mind of the person that's on the fence. Change their minds. They're the ones who are going to make the decision if they're going to watch this or not. And let's be civil about it. Let's present the right levels of evidence. If we present the right levels of evidence, it changes their minds and they'll give it a shot. But if we become the very enemy we swore, look what happened to Batman in BVS. Look what happened to him. He became ignorant. He became arrogant. He became self-centered. He wasn't thinking about the bigger picture. He was thinking about getting rid of Superman. And that's not what this cut is about. It's not about you. It's about Zack. It's about James Wan. It's about Patty Jenkins. It's about even James Gunn. It's about Matt Reeves. It's about even Kathy Ann. Even if you liked Birds of Prey or didn't like Birds of Prey, I thought it was entertaining. I didn't like it very much. It doesn't matter. They have the creative rights to do the movies that they want to do. That's what this cut is about. This cut is about not allowing committee films being taken over by people that don't care. They just want the consumer's money. We know that they want money, but we want what the director promised us. Let us decide. We're the ones putting in the money. We are paying you back for doing the loan. They loan the money out to make this movie. We're paying them back for the movie. That's how I see it. So do not start a problem with trying to get this cut out. Please, let's be civil. That's what my tag is about every one of my videos. Let's be civil. Let's be courteous to each other. It's the only way for this cut to get out. And it's the basis and foundations of Zack Snyder's philosophy. He wants to do great movies himself. He's a great filmmaker. People have a bias against him. That's their problem, not ours. And we will get that cut. Now, like, comment, share, subscribe down below. Hit that bell. I will think about doing that video about Tim Drake versus Damian Wayne. Who would truly win? I have to think about it. I have to do a little bit of research. But that might be a good topic. All right. Like I said, hit that bell and I'll try to get many videos out. And I hope that you guys stay safe. That coronavirus can be very dangerous for people who have serious conditions. But hey, let's be civil. All right. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.